Hey guys, my name is Ryan and welcome to Overwatch Central. Today we're going to be talking about Moira, a support hero that a lot of people like and a lot of people don't like for various reasons. But regardless of what you think of her, she is in the most ridiculous spot right now that she's never been in before. I wanted to talk about how it evolved, certainly in the competitive scene now that we have stats from this latest season, and also show the Overwatch League gameplay in the background to show you exactly how she's been used in various ways. Not going to be talking about her pick rate much there, but in yesterday's game between Vancouver Titans and NYXL, won't reveal the score by the way, I'll leave that so I don't spoil it for you, she was played about 90% of the time. Her and Lucio were played 90% of the time. This game that's on screen right now is the game that was played last night. Whoever won it would be 100% going to the grand finals in Philadelphia at the end of this month. It was a really good game, went down to the wire, but if you didn't see it, I would definitely recommend you go check it out at twitch.tv/Overwatch League. But also, as this video goes live, Guangzhou will be going up against San Francisco to decide who would play in the losers bracket final. If you want to check out yesterday's game or see it live, as this video goes out at least, check it in the description and the comments below. Like I mentioned, Moira was played 90% of the time in the games from yesterday. How is she faring in competitive? Well, we have the stats here. Of course, there is like a big gulf between the last recorded date of progress, which was like the middle of August, to the start of September, but her pick rate went from about 6.63% across all of the tiers to 13.88%. To give you some context, not only does she have the best pick rate out of all of the supports, she has the best pick rate out of anybody ever. But seeing her in comparison to the other supports, you can see how she's absolutely dwarfing even the likes of Anna, who has always been very popular no matter what has been meta. People are still playing her, which is fair enough, but Moira is really standing out on her own. The interesting thing about this whole thing and why I wanted to bring it up is, over the sort of past couple of weeks, the support meta in the pro scene at least has been moderately mixed. Heroes like Baptiste, Mercy, Anna, all being played in certain situations, like depends on the map. Areas like Watchpoint Gibraltar, that's where we saw a little bit of Mercy, and if a team is running stuff like Farah, that is a great synergy that you can run. It also explains why Baptiste does get picked up now and again, but since Doomfist has become a lot more meta, it's very difficult to get effective use out of Baptiste and his immortality field, just because Doomfist can punch you out of it. But the reason why I wanted to highlight this is over the past couple of weeks, we've gone from a meta where other options are available to Moira Lucio being played the majority of the time, if not all of the time. And it's most likely that this is what we'll be seeing for the grand finals. Doubt there's going to be any balance changes as we go in, but we'll probably get a big one as the grand finals have finished. Personally, I'm pretty divided. I quite like playing Moira. I'm one of those players that doesn't really get upset at Moira players as a whole, but I know a good bunch of our audience don't like her because they think that she's too easy to play. She has too many options to get out of situations that would kill anybody else. But that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to go over, looking at this Dogman gameplay from the Atlanta versus San Francisco shot match that went on last week. The reason why I wanted to highlight this particular section is just look at all of the stuff that Dogman manages to survive. Sinatra comes behind him on the Tracer, which for a lot of other supports wouldn't have much option. Either they would just die to the Tracer, or they would have to dedicate resources to try and kill him. Let's imagine that instead Dogman is playing Zenyatta. You'd have to turn around, put the Discord orb on her, try and protect yourself, but realistically, that fight is only going one way. Moira not only survives the Tracer, but a Death Blossom with a Reaper running at her, and all of these other bits and pieces have been thrown her way. It's not as if as well that the team is helping Moira out here. She's kind of stood on her own. Not only does she have Fade to get out of difficult situations, but the fact that her right click heals her as she's doing damage to the Tracer means that Sinatra can't get anywhere near him and tries to keep his distance. Survivability is such an important aspect. Again, looking at this gameplay from Vancouver Titans, you even have a straight up Doomfist just punching Twilight in the face and still surviving. It's kind of ridiculous how much Moira can get away with. I wouldn't say she's too strong across the board. I don't think she's like a Risa, where the fact that she can put her shield down as often as she can, the damage that she can do, the strength of her ult, the strength of her ultimate, all aspects of a Risa's play are really strong that you could realistically nerf any bit of her kit and she'd still be fine. Moira feels that she brings two things to the table: crazy survivability and the damage and healing through the shields. Now it's easy to look at her and go, oh, she's too strong, she can do everything, she's like Doomfist and a Risa, she's just that good. I think it's just that the two areas that are really important right now is where Moira excels: survivability against one-shot heroes, and also the healing and damage through shields. One thing that I did notice from watching Twilight's perspective in this game against Seoul Dynasty is just how the teams sort of play around an Orisa shield and when they sort of step on the pedal a little bit and accelerate onto the enemy team. I really like it here because they're sort of trying to pick a side to attack from. They try and break down this Orisa barrier as quick as possible, and that's the side that they go down. They don't really pay too much attention to Sigma's shield. It's like Sigma in the team puts up the shield in front or to the side of Orisa's to cover some of those blind spots that she may have. So the team almost dedicated to either breaking that shield and pushing through that area. Sigma can only do so much there, or what you're seeing on screen a little bit is where they act like bishops in chess and try and take a diagonal route and flank around the Orisa's shield. It does get very scrappy on this point. It does look like Dynasty are able to take the point, but a well-timed Coalescence and Haxel on Doomfist, because you know Doomfist, are able to take the point with the help of the Orisa and the Lucio. It's all about sustain at that point, but you sort of see how they pick their fights and how quickly they need to go when they have an opportunity, because not many come across when you have an Orisa and a Sigma's barrier up the whole time. One thing, of course, that you'll also know with Moira, it's very difficult in this gameplay, but pretty much every orb that goes out from Moira is a damage orb, but really pay attention to the ticks in these situations where there's not engagements happening. How much ult charge Twilight is getting for Coalescence before a fight even starts. Not only is it good for getting that ult charge and providing a little bit of damage, you're realistically not going to kill anybody, but mostly it's a good scouting tool. You see Dogman use it again in this Atlanta gameplay where he throws up an orb down this choke, he sees that the damage orb gets a few ticks, so he knows that some of San Francisco Shock are hidden in that little hallway, and they can almost act on that and push them away. So the pro teams as much as possible try and go around an Orisa shield, but there are a few exceptions as when they want to just burst through, one of which is when the Orisa has her own supercharger. Titans lost a point here, they dedicate to the supercharger and just go through the front door at this point. They push in, they try to do as much damage and break on through any barriers or shields in the way. Now it doesn't help the Dynasty to try and get back to the point, switch off of the Sigma to a Hammond, meaning that there's less barriers to break, making it fairly easy for Titans to just break on through with the dedication of that ultimate. They still have the Doomfist, the Reaper, and the Sound Barrier ult, but they didn't really need to dedicate anything else to it. Some of the stuff in this gameplay that we've highlighted is fairly straightforward. You know, being able to fade and do damage to survive certain things. You don't really need that explaining to you if you do want to play more Moira. Not to mention doing damage orbs, simply because with there being no Diva on any of these teams, the only thing that could eat up a damage orb is Sigma's Kinetic Grasp, which is a big cooldown for him to use, that he may just dedicate to taking the damage as opposed to using a big ability that could keep him alive when he needs it, you know. So either he doesn't use a Kinetic Grasp and you get all that damage in for free, or he does use it, eats up your damage orb, but he doesn't have that big ability for the next engagement. If you're smart enough, you can punish him for that too. So win-win if you're a Moira player, basically. Coalescence to use aggressively and also keeping his team alive, that hasn't changed at all. But most importantly, the positioning and how these teams take these engagements in an Orisa Sigma versus Orisa Sigma way. Either you have an ultimate that you could dedicate to sort of pushing through, either your own Coalescence, the supercharger like we saw with Orisa, or like the Atlanta gameplay, you have a Bastion, which is, you know, you're saying, we're going to win any shield wall that you try to put in front of us. That's a playstyle where you very much want to be based around just pushing through them as opposed to around them. But you do notice these almost nuanced plays coming out of Vancouver Titans as they just try and get around what the enemy team is doing as opposed to through them, and I think that's really worth noting if you are a Moira player. If you play an offensive stance like that, a good amount of the time the enemy team isn't coordinating enough to deal with it, which is why you see a lot of Symmetra in competitive play but not in the pro scene, because if you don't have that coordination, she can almost punish you for that. We've kind of got into a lot of different areas around Moira's playstyle and how she's been used, but the general consensus of this video was to highlight her pick rate and just how obnoxiously strong she is. I don't think she's like a broken hero or like super strong like Doomfist or Orisa have been described to be. She's just a hero that is really good, does amazingly well with the stuff that a support has to do right now, which is heal through a lot of barriers and keep yourself alive when a Doomfist, a Reaper, or a Mei are gonna run at you. Moira excels in all of those areas, hence why she's been played so much. If we saw less Orisa or less Sigma, her popularity is going to go back down to where it was, I can promise you. But let me know what you think of her pick rate. What sort of advice do you have for any other aspiring Moira players at the moment? Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. We'll see you next time.